Marhaba, my name is Rachel. If you are new here, this channel is all about my life in Jordan as a British mum of two. I'm recently doing just updates about Corona, but that's not my usual content. Usually I talk about life here and culture shocks and differences between the two cultures, and try and shed some light on some things that might be confusing to foreigners and just show Jordan in a different light through my own perspective. So, at the moment, we're focusing on Corona. I am going to start getting back to my old content soon, but let's get started. It's 2 p.m. on April the 5th, and probably by the time I get this video uploaded, we're going to have new numbers for how many Corona cases we've got here, because the internet is so slow. Sometimes it takes me like 6 hours to upload a video, but as it stands now, we've got 323 Corona cases in Jordan. We've had 5 deaths and we have had 7 recoveries. I haven't really been doing updates the last couple of days because there hasn't really been a lot to share. So I'm gonna go way back to Friday. Friday, we had a full-on curfew. No one was allowed out for any reason. Even the ministers themselves weren't allowed out. And the reason for that was to give the authorities who are in charge of tracing the Corona cases more time and more flexibility to really delve into where Corona is in Jordan. So we got our updates and our announcements from the ministers via Skype on Friday evening, just to show the level of commitment that everyone was taking. There were no passes being given out at all for anybody. But there was the Minister of Agriculture who spent the last couple of weeks giving out passes to pretty much anybody and everybody. He gave out around 1,000 passes for people to avoid the curfew, to show the army, like, this is my proof that I'm allowed to leave my home for a reason other than going and buying food. And yeah, he gave them out to a yogurt company and to other ministers and other MPs and things, which was obviously a total abuse of his power and really disappointing for everybody to find out about. And then, funnily enough, after this was kind of revealed, the king, it wasn't related necessarily, but the king made a speech and he said how we are all in this together and there are no exceptions and nobody is above the law. And funnily enough, shortly after that, he resigned. Not the king. The Minister of Agriculture resigned. Oh. But, you know, to show how serious Jordan is about this curfew, the other day, 2 parliamentarians were caught violating the curfew and they were arrested. So it really is serious that we have to abide by this curfew. It's actually not the only disappointing thing that I have heard this week to do with people in more kind of leadership roles in Jordan. So there was a doctor, a pediatrician, who travelled from Spain the day before the introduction of the new policies that when anybody arrived in the country, they had to go straight into quarantine at the Dead Sea. And this was the day before this happened. He flew in. And to avoid coming from Spain, which at the time wasn't allowed, the border was closed to Spain, he went through Greece and didn't alert anybody that he had been to Spain. When he arrived, he didn't go and tell the authorities where he had been, which was requested when they changed the policy. Anybody who came before the day of changing the policy was requested to go and tell the authorities where they had been. And he didn't do that. So then he put himself in self-isolation for 2 weeks, and then he went back and he started working as usual, doing his pediatrician job thing. And then a little while later, his sister started displaying symptoms of Corona, and immediately upon hearing this, he went to the hospital to get tested, and he tested positive. And 7 members of his family were also tested positive, even though, you know, he had no symptoms at all. But he was obviously a carrier. So it shows why it is so important to stay at home. Or if you have to travel, you know, go about it in the right way and do it through the proper channels. And because he came into contact with so many patients, parents and children and other doctors and colleagues, obviously the people who are doing all the tracing they've just got a massive undergoing now. They've got to trace everybody that he's had contact with. So yeah, that's really disappointing to hear that happened from somebody who comes from inside the health system and a health professional. But anyway, saying that, something that I have mentioned in these videos, what is coming out of this corona disaster is some really fantastic people as well, and some really great characters and leaders. One, of course, you must have heard of him by now, the health minister, Dr. Jabber. And if you don't know who he is the one on the right next to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, of course, is called Razaz, Dr. Razaz. Yes, so these are Jordan's heroes right now. They are making really tough decisions that other countries are not willing to make, and they are remaining humane about it. I mean, the speech when they said that they're going to have to put us on a full curfew, it was laden with apologies. You know, they were apologetic that they were having to do this and that they were having to take our freedoms away. And you know what? I haven't heard anyone complain about it, because we feel like we're being treated humanely, and that it's the right thing to be doing. And there's been no issue with it. So I wish that other countries would take stock of what Jordan is doing. And let's not forget, of course, the health professionals who are already working, a lot of them in poor environments. They're receiving poor pay and they have poor resources, and they are still going out there, and they are kind of on the front lines right now, under even more challenge than usual. So let's not forget those as well. And why don't I salute the army while I'm at it? How do we salute the army? But because of these reasons, because we have this fantastic united effort, and because we have these fantastic leaders really leading us and governing us, which you don't see in other countries. I'm not going to mention the name of the country, but, oh, thank you. Whew. Well, I look the same colour as the wall now. But they are taking these extreme but effective measures, and that is why Jordan is being repeatedly mentioned in the international news. I'll play you this little clip now.
We wanted to check in with one of the strictest lockdowns in place to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Reporting from NPR explains the lockdown has seen the temporary closure of grocery stores and even pharmacies. Walks have been banned, as well as allowing pets outdoors. The government has commandeered public transportation like city buses to deliver groceries, medicine, and other essentials directly to neighborhoods.
And all of those efforts are making sure that Jordan looks a little bit less like this and a little bit more like this. I also want to say that today, for the first time, I have tried one of the delivery services. Talabat, I mentioned in a previous video that they have launched a new delivery service during this strange period that we're in. And I tried it out today and it worked like clockwork. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of complaints recently about some delivery service providers not really delivering on time. This was perfect. I ordered loads of bread. I mean, I ordered a ridiculous amount of bread from a bakery, and it arrived within a couple of hours. No problems. It was just like a normal delivery, and the guy was all, you know, wrapped up with his mask and his gloves and everything, and yeah, can't complain at all. It was really good. I suggest that you go and try it. They've also got Sameh Mall and a few other like supermarkets and things on there, delivering food and different groceries and things. So stay home and order from Talabat, from this app. I really, really recommend it. Oh yeah, I wanted to say thank you so much for 7,000 subscribers. That's insane. I just feel like the other day I was saying 3,000 and now it's 7,000. That's wild. Finding it hard to get my head around that. Thank you so much. And I hope that if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Stay safe, stay at home. Ma salama.